Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we're going to be talking about the tropics, excessive rainfall, thunderstorms, and then finish off with the models, including our excessive heat risk. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another in-depth weather video. So we're starting off today on the National Weather Service page. The West is filled with heat advisories in orange, as well as excessive heat warnings in this magenta color. This pink color, those are a few red flag warnings. We also have, I think those might be special weather statements, but it's kind of the same color as fire weather watches, so I really can't differentiate. We also have a few flood watches and other flood related watches, warnings, and advisories in the central part of the country, including areas of South Dakota, Nebraska, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Other than that, there's a few other watches, warnings, and advisories issued in the continental U.S. You could also see some tropical storm warnings starting to peek into the picture here. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute, and then more of that in the models. But let's head over to the radar first, where we do have a mess in the central part of the country. This is going to be the front of our excessive rainfall risk, as this area is expected to become a very, very wet spot here over the next week or so. We also have a few showers in the southeast, as well as a few showers in the northeast. In the west, you're pretty dry. A few isolated showers and thunderstorms in the picture right now, but we're pretty clear, especially on the coastline. Now, onto the National Hurricane Center, we do have just named Tropical Storm Isaias, which currently has 50-mile-an-hour winds, minimum central pressure of 1,004 millibars, and is moving west-northwest at 20 miles an hour. With this storm, we have a very wide wind field for the tropical storm force winds. Tropical storm force winds currently impacting the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, but that wind field will be continuing to move through the Dominican Republic and Haiti, through the Bahamas, and then eventually through Florida and start moving up the east coast. So we could be sticking with this for a very, very long time. This is Monday, 8 p.m., making landfall in North Carolina. So we kind of saw something like this a few days ago on the GFS model, but it's showing that this is now going to take a Hurricane Michael-like track through Florida. Obviously, Michael originated around Colombia and Venezuela, but it's going to take that type of track, riding the Florida East Coast, and then up through this little gap here in the land around Georgia and into North Carolina. This is very different than just a few hours ago, where we were forecasting this to kind of take more of a westward track through the Florida Peninsula and then through Georgia. So we're still watching this cone here, as we're starting to get 3 to 5 days out. We're going to have to pay a lot of attention to this system. Arrival time of winds with the 5-day wind speed probabilities. We're going to start seeing impacts from this system with winds Friday 8 p.m. and then through all the way up to now. This wind field is starting to encroach on the northeast, so the entire east coast could be affected by this storm. So Isaias is definitely one that we have to watch, currently impacting Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Now let's move on to the excessive rainfall outlook. Slight risks today, as well as some marginal risks. We have slight risks in areas of Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina. We have marginal risks anywhere from Wyoming to New Jersey, and then as far south as Texas and Alabama. Anywhere in this dark green, you have a 5 to 10% chance of exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles of a specific point. If you're in yellow, you have a 10% 10 to 20% chance of the same thing. Now let's move on to the severe thunderstorm outlook. But we do have a few marginal risks today. We do have some marginal risks in the Boss Wash megapolis. We even have it extending through, that's about Richmond there. So from Boston to Richmond you're going to be seeing marginal risk for severe thunderstorms. We also have another stretch of marginal risks from parts of eastern New Mexico through western South Carolina. So some cities in that risk is Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Springfield, Memphis, and Nashville, Chattanooga. Those are just a few. Now let's move on to the other risks. So less than 2% chance of tornadoes, wind 5% chance in those marginal risk areas, and hail, a few spots could see 5% chance of those risks. Now back to the categorical. If you're in that light green color, that means that you have some risks for thunderstorms, but very unlikely that they will be severe. If you're in the marginal risk, that's a 1 out of 5 chance of seeing a severe thunderstorm. So those areas could see some severe thunderstorm watches, but very unlikely. Probably just some severe thunderstorm warnings in those areas. Now let's move on to the NAM 3-kilometer model, where we're going to be tracking storms in the eastern half of the country, as well as we'll start to see Isaias come into the picture here at the end of this model run. So let's start off. We have this very volatile system here in the central part of the country that's going to be producing a lot of rainfall as it moves east. And you could see just in the south, we're going to be seeing a lot of that rain, and then it'll eventually move off the coast. Then you'll just start to see those thunderstorms in areas of Minnesota, as well as along a stall front here in the south. Then you can see Isaias starting to encroach on the Florida peninsula. So we're going to have to watch out for that in more later updates. Probably going to be more in depth on that tomorrow and Saturday. Probably those two videos will be especially on Isaias as it makes impact on Florida. So let's move on to temperatures, because that is an extreme risk in the west currently. So let's just wait for this to load in here, and then I'll try and find the area that we could see the biggest impacts with this. Most likely the desert areas of the US. So let's see here. Right over here, that's a rough estimate. So we have triple digits in areas of Washington. We have areas of the Silicon Valley and other valley names in California, just right in here. And then we have the desert, triple digits, 116 looking like the max here, but you could see more. Then you have generally 70s to 90s and everywhere else. You have a few other areas of triple digits as well. So now if we move east to the Rockies here, where you could, in the Rockies you could see as low as 50s. You have generally some 90-degree heat in eastern Montana and the south central region. Then you have generally 70s and 80s from anywhere from the north central region through into the northeast, some 80 to 90 degree heat in the southeast, and that basically does it. So let's move on to the GFS, and I do want to go over some relative humidities. So humidity is probably going to be a little heavy in areas that it's going to be raining, but the west is super dry, and throughout the day today you're going to see that humidity will start to move east, and some drier air will start to move into the northeast as those thunderstorms move through. So this is just coming in, so we could even look at this model run. You can kind of see the same thing there. And then you start to see Isaias starting to move in with that moisture. And the GFS is once again predicting a hurricane to skirt the North Carolina coastline and then move to the northeast, possibly making some impacts on Cape Cod. But again, that is very far out, so we have to pay close attention to that early next week. So that is all I wanted to cover today. I will keep you updated on Tropical Storm Isaias through tomorrow and Saturday. I hope you all have a great Thursday, and I will see you guys tomorrow.